Are y'all ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on the Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you guys haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have you guys. And shout out to Bumblefoot for that awesome intro music. I always appreciate that. All right, you guys, go follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com and over on my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress, where I have live shows over there at least two days a week. And it may be a little bit more coming up here pretty soon. So y'all go check that out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern over on my YouTube channel. All right. If you haven't subscribed over there, please do. And also subscribe here at Spaced Out Radio if you guys are not already subscribed. Okay. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing, y'all go over to my Patreon and become a member of my Patreon. And I have a shop that's called War Woman Goods. Get all your goods for Christmas over there on Etsy. Okay, y'all. I have a fantastic guest here tonight. I have Rod Nichols of Bexar County Bigfoot here in the studio tonight. Also, don't forget that you guys can go to our Patreon over at Spaced Out Radio. It's called the Space Travelers Club, and become a member there if you'd like to support Spaced Out Radio. Also, get you some merch over at spacedoutradio.com in the shop. And yeah, and go to the Reno party next year. We just had a meeting about that today. So we've got a Reno, it's in May. I forgot the weekend. I'll have to look it up. I'll have more information next weekend on that. How about that? But we're going to have a Spaced Out Radio fan party next May. So we hope you guys will be there. Come join us. Okay, y'all. Don't forget that right after this show tonight, After Hours has a fantastic show. Rob G has a show set up for us. So y'all go over there right after we're done here tonight. Okay. All right. Let's get to our guest tonight. Rod Nichols of the Bexar County Bigfoot Research Project is here with me tonight. He's been researching Bigfoot in and around San Antonio, Texas for some time and has come across quite a bit of possible Bigfoot evidence. In addition to the Bigfoot findings, he may have also stumbled upon a Dogman trackway. Rod's pictures of these tracks can be found in the book and documentary, The Texas Dogman Triangle. You can follow Rod's research through his Instagram page, Bexar County Bigfoot. It looks like Bexar County Bigfoot, y'all, but it's pronounced Bexar County. Please help me welcome to the show, Rod Nichols. What's up, Rod?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm excellent. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have you here tonight. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Well, I love having other Bigfoot field researchers here in the studio with me because I feel like we're all, you know, sharing our stories and learning from each other.
Yeah,
for sure. And
yeah,
and I love following you on Instagram. I know I've been following you on Instagram for a while, and you have some of the most fantastic findings out in the woods. I actually, as a matter of fact, I just watched the Dogman Triangle.
Yeah.
Okay, just this weekend. That's a really cool documentary too. So
yeah,
tell me a little bit about. First of all, tell me a bit how you got into this research, and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, so I feel like throughout my life, like even as a young guy, I feel like I was always a believer. You know, it started with you know, as a young guy watching Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of, and of course, I think like a lot of other field researchers. The Patterson-Gimlin film is definitely a staple, you know, because it's highly publicized. It's been out in, you know, and nowadays Bigfoot is, you know, so much in our pop culture. But you know, I had such an interest in cryptids, Loch Ness Monster, things like that. I was the kid in elementary school that was, you know, going to the book fair and buying all those books. You know, my mom was like, "You're wasting all your money," and blah blah blah. That, you know. But I didn't pay no attention because I knew in my mind, I knew this world was huge. I knew the United States was a big continent. There was so much more to the world, and where I lived, you know, I knew there was something more out there. So for me, I felt like I was always a believer, and then, you know, kind of gotten into, and maybe this isn't something that people would connect, but for me, you know, getting into gorillas and things like that was a big thing. I had studied Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall. I even, when I was younger, I wrote, I don't know if you remember Coco the gorilla,
Oh
the
yeah.
girl. I wrote to her when I was a kid, and she wrote back to me, type of thing. You know, so, you know, so you know, cryptids and you know, apes and things like that have always been a staple for me, and I've always been a believer in cryptids. And so fast forward to my adult life, and you know, I'm on disability. I hurt myself at work, and I'm out for a good while, but I'm still mobile a little bit, you know, getting on the mend. And I ended up binge watching a YouTube channel. It was a gentleman out of Utah, and he was showing a lot of his trace evidence. And to me, you know, I had no knowledge of the subject, right? I just thought it was Patterson-Gimlin. There's just one out there in Northern California, and that's where it's at. And there's no way they're anywhere else, right? Type of thing. So lo and behold, this guy was just blowing my mind with, you know, his evidence he was showing. He was showing a lot of the wood structures, and that was his trace evidence amongst, you know, footprints. And then he talked some of his you know, encounters with these creatures, things like that. But the wood structures is what really resonated with me. I had no recollection or understanding of wood structures. I didn't know. And so I binge watched all of his videos like that night, all of it. I got sucked in. And the last video that he put out was showing his audience how to go and find this trace evidence, right? And he broke it down. He said, hey, look, if you've got a habitat that supports big game, and you've got some property where this is, you know, something that where a creature, an apex predator can go in and out, you know, you have safe passage, you know, you may have a recipe for finding some type of trace evidence. So, you know, there was some other things too that he talked about. So the next day I went out and I went to go look for a wood structure, and I was following, you know, the same, the outline of what he gave his audience, how to find this stuff. On the same day I went to go find a wood structure, I found one, and it blew my mind. And I stopped dead in my tracks, and I thought, this can't be real. Like, this can't be happening. Like, I can't believe what I'm looking at. Like, you know, and from there it snowballed. And at that time I was in the woods every waking moment I can get out there. I was out there looking and looking and looking. And you know, I came to the conclusion that I may have something substantial here. And you know, if you know our neck of the woods, we're not really highly publicized as the Bigfoot, you know, city or area or county or whatever. East Texas overshadows a lot of the Bigfoot encounters and sightings, things like that. You know, Sam Houston National Forest, you know, that area where it's going off over there, basically, right? But understanding that, you know, we have a history. San Antonio does have a history of some significant sightings dating back to the 70s. You know, dating back to the 70s with a few people that saw these things on their property. They've documented prints. There's newspaper clippings on it. And then fast forward into 2000s, you got a homeless couple that was living out in the woods about northwest San Antonio, right off of a major highway. They were camping out, and they came up to their camp, saw this creature with a doe in its arms, eating it. It jumped up on two legs, screamed at them, ran off with the doe, and they called 911 immediately. And you could actually, you know, hear, maybe you've probably heard the phone call, the 911 phone call of this homeless couple. It's the wife that's on the phone describing the creature, talking about, you know, hey, we need animal control out here, because she thought it was just an escaped, you know, animal or something of that nature. So, you know, you've got some real things that have happened, sightings that have happened here in our area. And so for me, looking at that, I thought, you know, surely there's got to be some evidence. These things must be going in and out of the city. And the conclusion I came to with my evidence and my research that I've been doing was that and this is just me speculating. I can't definitively say that this is gospel or the truth, but here's what I'll tell you. I believe that these creatures are utilizing greenways and creeks, and they go in and out of the city, right? Now, when you talk about that, you gotta throw in a water source. There's got to be a water source, and then you got to throw in the habitat. And the habitat here is white-tailed deer, and lots of coverage, lots of cedar trees, lots of oak, lots of great big trees where you can hide, you can be concealed, and white-tailed deer they're numerous here. So when you throw in all of those elements, then you sit there and go, okay, I'm looking at this greenway that goes in and out of the city. I myself could go in and out without being detected. I can hide. I can conceal myself. I can do all those things if I wanted to off this particular creek. And when I stepped back and I looked at the topography and I looked at what I was finding, I thought, man, I've got something, because this particular creek is very prominent. It's got a lot of history with the Native Americans and fur trappers. There's actually a battle that took place on this specific creek. It goes in and out of the city, and it goes through San Antonio all the way into other cities that are in South Texas. So you've got a highway. You've got a highway for something. If it's an apex predator with intelligence, you've got something that is substantial, I think, in the form of this Creek Greenway. So, this Creek Greenway connects all of these wilderness parks together, right? So looking at each wilderness park connected to this creek, I find wood structures each time in every park. Now, you have to sit there, and people have told me, well, it's homeless people, it's Boy Scouts, it's people doing this. And I'm like, we're talking about like several wilderness parks with all of this stuff in there. Not only that, I found prints. I did a casting of a couple of prints in one specific area connected to that Creek Greenbelt. So, I'm not going to doubt that some of this stuff may be people tooling around. I'm not going to doubt that at all. But it's prevalent. Who's doing this, right? And not only that, you've got to look at the pieces involved in these wood structures. We're talking about whole trees, 10, 15 foot tall, maybe about 6 to 8 inches around, and the root system is still attached. If we're talking about homeless people, we're talking about a strong homeless person.
Strong people with probably a forklift, right?
Right. So that's what I've been. That's where I've been ever since.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Jennifer Patterson, thank you so much for that super sticker. We appreciate that. Okay, so when you're talking about these wood structures, okay, and that's one thing that really caught my attention from your social media posts and stuff when I first started following you, is you had some pretty fantastic wood structures, okay? Yeah. And I have come across my share in the woods as well. And there are clearly some that are debris huts that are made by people, humans, and then there are some that are not explainable, okay, that are like turned upside down. The root balls are in the air. And I mean, for me personally, it's hard to pick up logs for the fireplace sometimes. I mean, wood is heavy. Okay. Wood is heavy. A lot of the guys, when we're out in the field, they all carry chainsaws in their trucks just in case we have like a tree that goes down or we need to cut some firewood or something. Trees are heavy, y'all. Okay, trees are heavy. Yeah. And so when you go out into the woods and you come across some of these structures, it's just not really humanly possible to get some of these structures made by humans. However, I have spent enough time out in the woods building and learning how to build debris huts. Okay, it becomes a little easy to spot once you do it yourself. Yeah. Okay. And so I'm able to tell, like, I listen, I have people that send me pictures all the time of debris huts, and they say that they've got to be Bigfoot dens and stuff. But I see humans in that. And you can see where they cut it with their axes and they're,
Yeah.
whatever, you can tell. Okay. But there's this one that you have. Okay. And it's like, you call it the beast.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's okay, I'd love to show a picture.
Sure.
I took a screenshot of one of your videos. And so I'd like to show that tonight. And if you'll explain to the audience what this is, because it is massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to pull it up for the audience. Okay. This thing, okay, it may be kind of hard to see. You got to see the whole video, y'all. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But where is this and what is this?
So this is more, would be considered more northwest San Antonio. This is off of another creek that's very, very vast. It's got a lot of history as well. It's called Leon Creek. And this particular wood structure is in a wilderness park where, one, there's tons of white-tailed deer. I mean, some of the best looking bucks I've ever seen in my life are in this park, number one. Number two, there's a water source about 1.5 miles approximately north on this creek. And this is a wilderness park where you can't hunt and you can't camp at this wilderness park. Okay. So this structure in particular, I have actually taken well, first of all, I found it, me and my son found it about 6 years ago, I would say more or less 6 years ago. And we were blown away by it. I was floored because I'd never seen anything like this in my life. And at one point, it doesn't look like it now, but at one point you could a grown-up man about 6 foot can stand up in this easily. It's not that hard. It's got an inside, it's got a passage in, and it's got an exit, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But the pieces that are involved in this, and you can see there's one tree that's laid out there. It's kind of a little straggler, but you can see the root system with this tree laying out there, and you can see a lot of big pieces in this wood structure. It's really interesting. I've actually taken a wildlife biologist with me out in the field who is a believer. I took him to this wood structure, and it blew his mind. He had no answer for me. He had no answer as to what kind of animal would do this. I think part of what he'd said was some of the things that I had shown him all the way leading up to that particular wood structure was that some of these sites kind of looked like almost nesting, like they look like primate type of activity. And so when I took him to this structure, I watched him. He stood in it. He stood in it by himself. I let him, hey man, can I walk? Absolutely, go in, knock yourself out. He stepped into that structure, and I could see his brain just like the cogs and wheels were moving. Like what he couldn't figure it out. Like he was even talking to himself, like, is this what is this? Like he didn't know. He had no idea. And I'm talking about a well-tenured wildlife biologist who has no answer for this. So, this wood structure has evolved over several years. It's been added on. It's been taken away, added on. Now here's what I will tell, and I'll be completely real. I'm not going to doubt that maybe somebody had passed by and put their own touch on it. I'm not going to argue that a person or people may not have come through and off the game trail and seen it and go, oh, hey, whatever. I'm not going to deny that. But here's where I'm gonna get you. Okay. You gotta look at the pieces involved in this. You gotta look at the pieces involved. If you're gonna tell me it's people, then we're talking about strong people, a team of people going in and build these things, right? But they don't hold out. They don't keep rain out. They don't keep sunlight out. They don't keep the elements out. So why go out and build this stuff? For what reason? Somebody had told me, well, there's people out there that do bushcraft class, and I get you. Cool. Hey, if that's where it is, great. But I keep tabs on my areas pretty consistently, morning, noon, and almost into the nighttime. Over 6 years, you would have thought I would have run into somebody building this stuff. Somebody. I have not run into anybody building these things at all. So you gotta just throw it out there and go, well, cryptid? I don't know, but it certainly is amazing.
It is amazing, and that one is like it's like a mansion of. If that's a debris hut, I mean that's more than a debris hut. First of all,
Oh
okay, a
yeah,
debris hut is like tiny. It's like a one man kind of. It's almost like a sleeping bag. Okay, like it's tiny usually,
yeah,
and it's just for survival. Okay, now
yeah,
what you're showing in a lot of these videos is stuff that's just massive. Okay, like
yeah,
massive. And we have
yeah.
people in the chat tonight, like Brown Dwarf and Long Island Bigfoot. They're here.
Brown
Hey guys.
dwarf,
Yeah, they're
brown
in here.
dwarf.
They
Yeah,
come across some really cool structures too. I know Brown
yeah,
Dwarf loves structures, and we've had conversations about those. And I just think it's fascinating because some of the things are just not. It's almost like not humanly possible for humans to make some of these. But
right.
but Bigfoots are so. Some of them are really large, and it would be like, what are they doing? You know, is it
Sure.
because there's no like roof on it, like you said, to like make it into a shelter. But it could be, somebody in the chat was saying, well, it could be where Bigfoot's having babies or something. You know, everybody's got a suggestion as to what it is, but really
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is we don't really know.
No, no.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody, Jessica, that I'm not going to pretend to know.
No,
I
me
don't
neither.
I don't take that route, only because number one, here's obvious reason. The obvious thing, I don't know. Number one. Number two, I can match up a lot of my wood structures up against somebody that's in Oregon, in Colorado, in California, in Oklahoma. It's the same, almost the same style in a lot of ways. So if we're talking in terms of that, there's something going on, right? I don't know what, right? And in my videos, I don't think you've ever heard me say, yes, Bigfoot did this. This is what they do, and blah blah blah. I don't, and I get people that are gracious enough to come forward and put themselves out there and go, look, I think they do it for this reason. Okay, cool. And my answer to that is, you could be right. You could be right. I don't know. What I do know is this: I've been tracking this stuff up and down this creek, north all the way south, because it goes north and south, right? And there's something going on. These pieces are not tiny. They're not. And in fact, I try to pick them up myself, and a lot of times I can't pick these pieces up. They're heavy. They're dense. Who is pulling out trees from the root system and fashioning them into a teepee, an A-frame, a wigwam, and
Even
why?
X's, even X's. I mean, they're still
Right?
heavy,
Yeah.
and I came out of the woods about a month ago, I guess. I went with my team up in it's actually Middle Georgia, this place that we call the Troop Herd Corridor, and we there was a part of the woods out there that had like baby trees, like really thin, skinny trees everywhere, and they were like bendable and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but not for like a normal human, but we found a gigantic arch that had been like tied in like an asterisk kind of thing. And it was it was just very odd. It was almost like, well, how could a human have done that? You know, and it was huge. I mean,
Yeah.
but some of the things, it could have been, absolutely could have been the weather that did that, like a storm came through or something, and it made some of the
Yeah.
X structures. Okay,
Could be.
but this arch was very different, and plus all of the sticks, not the sticks, but the logs, the trees, some of
Yeah.
them, the root ball was like up in the air, and there was nowhere on the ground where that tree had been dug up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so it came from somewhere, but it wasn't there, and it would have been too heavy for a human to carry.
No. Yeah. And you're right. And that's what I've come up against as well. Right. What you said is exactly some of the same
Yeah.
stuff that I find. Right. So if you're going to tell me it's people, Boy Scouts, homeless, we're finding the similarities in these wood structures, right? And I would venture to say that maybe there was a creek by some of this stuff, or some type of passage off of a game trail, something where they've got that in and out type of passage. And I'm not just saying this just because I think that this is what's going on. I'm basing this off of other books. Lyle Blackburn has talked about this before. I've heard one of his lectures up close. He's talked about how some of this stuff is found alongside of creeks and greenways. So it's not far-fetched for me to say, yeah, like this could be cryptid activity. You know what I mean? So, but going back to the wildlife biologist, just to add something to that, I'd taken him to a spot where I had found a doe carcass. So it was more of a skeleton. It had some of the flesh still on it, but it was more bones than anything else. And she had been broken in half. Her back was broken in half right in the middle. Her legs were pulled off. All of her legs were pulled off and thrown about. Her head was pulled off her neck. The head was pulled apart, bottom jaw, top jaw, pulled apart, and thrown about, feet away from the torso. And he put on his gloves and stuff, and he put the skeleton together. He said, "Hey, look, Rod," he said, "right in the middle, this thing bows, like it bows down, like where it's broken. Something with great force broke this back of this doe." And I sat there, I played devil's advocate. I said, "Homeless people?" He said, "Duh, no." He's like, "This would have to have been one badass homeless person to A, chase down a doe, B, break its back like that, and split in half, right?" So, again, going into some of this evidence alongside with these wood structures, stuff like that, you have to really wonder, what is doing this, or who is doing this, and why, and I think that's just the age-old question for a lot of us. Why, right? But I'll take it a step further. Up north on this Creek Greenway that I've been documenting for years now, there is something called an Edwards Underground Aquifer Recharge Zone. So where San Antonio gets their water, it's an underground cavern. San Antonio, I don't know if you know this, or maybe nobody knows this, San Antonio sits on an underground cavern. It's huge.
I've been to San Antonio. I've been to Riverwalk underneath the city.
Okay.
It's a river that runs underneath the city with shops and everything down there. It's like an underground city.
So
I know.
The Edwards Underground Aquifer at the top, at the very north part that I've gone to, there's a recharge zone. That's where we get our water. That's when it rains. The water filters in. That's how we get our water. But here's my problem. Not my problem. Here's my thing. You can't tell me that the government knows every nook and cranny of that cavern, because here's the reality of that cavern. That cavern stretches from San Antonio all the way to Austin.
So, oh my gosh, that's huge.
So my theory is this. This is my theory. I believe that they do their hunting in and out of that greenway, right? It's their highway. It's how they hunt. I believe this is done at night. And what I believe is that during the day, there is an opening. There's somewhere where they get inside this cavern that we don't know about. And that's where they reside. And then at night they come out, hunt, get their kill, go back in. So, that's my working theory that I've got so far.
I can appreciate that. 100%. I can appreciate that. And now I have heard you speak about Ron Moorhead's book, Quantum Bigfoot. Okay. I did hear you speak about that one day. What do you think about the theory and the idea of Sasquatch and even other cryptids having some sort of supernatural element to them, even potentially being like interdimensional beings and things like that?
Yeah. I will say I have not experienced anything in that area so far, at least now. But I think it's definitely a possibility. I'm open to it. My philosophy is this, Jessica. If you're open to some of it, you have to be open to all of it, and because we do not know, we don't. I don't have one of these things in my garage to go and ask questions. I don't have that, right? So the quantum Bigfoot, the mind speak, interdimensional, based off of encounters and things that I've heard, very possible. I heard an encounter of somebody saying that they saw this thing, this creature running on the side of the highway at night, and in front of it was an orb.
I've seen those. A lot of times, Rod, when we're out in the field, there's usually orbs associated with our Bigfoot sightings that we have.
Wow. Yeah.
And UFOs. It all kind of is one big nice package that goes together when we're out in the field doing our research.
I'm not going to rule out that it is that there are some supernatural elements. I'm very open to all of this, by the way. I'm not shut off, and I think if you're a field researcher, you should be open. You should pay attention to some of the most outlandish stories that you've heard. You need to pay attention to this. You know what I mean? You need to pay attention to all of it. And because because to me, it's all part of research. It's all part of you learning, right? And I think that if there are, and I believe there is some supernatural element to these creatures. I think that, you know, in speaking in terms of that, you know, now we're talking about something that is in and out, that can exit and enter our world like that, you know, and that's amazing. Now, maybe hopefully I'll get to experience something like that. I don't know, but I'm open to it. I really am.
I bet you will. I bet you will. You're out there enough. You're going to run into something that's really weird that you can't explain. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you already have, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I have.
I'm sure you have. And it comes to a point to where things that you may have discounted in the past as being just something that your rational brain could rationalize, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It could be, you know, like I think I may have encountered a cloaked Bigfoot the first time I was ever out in the
Wow.
field.
Whoa.
Something ran up behind me and hit the back of my legs and kept
Oh,
running, and I heard it, I felt it.
whoa.
It was there. There was somebody there. I thought one of the
Whoa.
guys was running up behind me to tackle me, to scare me.
That's got to be freaky.
It was pretty freaky, but I kind of asked for it. I was being bait. I was being Sasquatch bait. It's like my favorite thing. I like being bait. So that was my first experience being bait. So I questioned why I was doing that at that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Of course, but
You know, me and my wife have had we had what we feel was an encounter not too long ago at a new area that we've been researching, and it was classic. It was what you hear on the podcast. You know, where there's one, there's another. I believe that fully. It's not just one. There's another one around, or maybe a third, right? So, you know, this whatever it was one of them was what I believe might be one of them flanking us on the right hand side on a very high ridge, and I could see the trees moving, the saplings moving back and forth. I could hear it walking back and forth, and then across from this little river that's a part of the creek that we've been researching. Across that, something was thrown at us, and I caught the tail end of the object going into the water. In the beginning, it looked like it was probably about this big, almost like it looked like a big rock that was just big, and it got tossed, and I caught just the tail end of it, and boom, I heard it just hit the water. And then shortly after that, we got two very low growls that I can't place with any animal that I've encountered in these woods, because we don't have bears here. We don't have any of the big predators here in San Antonio. We don't. Maybe you'll hear about a mountain lion every once in a while, but maybe like years and years you'll hear about one, and then you won't hear about it again, right? So, you know, it was very unnerving. Like, it was crazy. I was like, wow. I was like, we probably should get out of here and just back away. But, you know, that was something that we had never experienced in our life. And I was like, whoa, we just got growled at. This was weird. And the growl, like I said, it was super low. Like,
yeah,
I'd never heard anything like that. So
you can feel it in your body, right? You can just feel it. It's like
you can. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely you can. It's really odd. So, but yeah, that was kind of the extent of it that we've had so far.
Well, okay, so speaking of orbs and growls and stuff, the last time that I actually was growled at, and the last time I saw an orb, it happened simultaneously in the field,
Oh, wow.
up at this place we call the UFO field. Okay.
Okay.
And Chris Holm, by the way, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that very much. But I was up at the UFO field, is what we call it. And it got that name after I had a UFO experience. It's a long story, but anyways, the audience knows it if y'all been following me for a while. Okay, but I was up there, and me and one of the guys that was with me, we were seeing orange orbs or orange lights in the trees, in the tree line, and we felt like we were being surrounded. You know, you can just feel it. You can feel it in the energy. You can feel it in your gut.
Yeah.
You know that there's something watching you. There's something there. Okay. And so I saw an orange light shoot through the trees, and right after it shot through the trees right in front of me, it goes, hoof, like loud. I literally thought that there could be a bear or something, but I knew instinctively it was a Bigfoot. Okay. But of course, you got to turn on your flashlight and make sure there's no bear about to charge you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it happened kind of simultaneously, that orb and then the Bigfoot. So it kind of led me to question, like, what is an orb? And
Yeah.
how is Bigfoot connected to that? Like,
Yeah.
what's the connection there?
God, such a good question. You know, a lot of people have attributed, as far as the creatures are concerned, Bigfoot, Sasquatch. They believe that it is part of the Nephilim. You know, the sons of God that came down to Earth, that had relationships with, women, earthly women, right? Whatever, the whole thing, right? So there's people that are of that. There are people that believe that these things just come from another planet and they've just been dropped off by a ship, and they're here to kind of do whatever, and then they get sucked back up, or whatever the case. And then there are people of the mindset that these things are interdimensional, and they come in and out into our world and their world, as they please, type of thing. But and I tell people, like, it's all possible to me. It really is. And because we don't have answers to the questions, but I think the people that have put their best foot forward and have really done the research and present evidence in the form of history and other pieces of evidence that they have found through encounters and things like that. I believe those people. I don't sit there and go, no, you're crazy, it's weird, whatever. Listen, we're chasing a bipedal 7-8 foot or even taller hairy creature in the woods that is faster than anything we've ever known, that is the master of its domain. And you can't tell me that there's not some type of supernatural element to it, because I think there possibly is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, totally. And Digger Dog has one of the best statements right here, because I say this for, I may not say it on air, but I've said this plenty of times. Digger does not like paranormal or supernatural in these terms. They are natural in ways we just don't understand the mechanics of it. Okay, that's what I say too. It's like, well, I just don't think that our human brains can like rationalize what's going on. And we really, when we say cloaked, okay, like a Bigfoot cloaked, it doesn't mean that it just disappeared. It may just mean that they have like been able to raise their frequency somehow to where we don't have like the rods and the cones in our eyes to be able to see them at some kind of frequency that they're on. Okay, so it's just beyond our comprehension as humans, but it's just natural to them what they're doing.
And he brings up a good point. Absolutely. We in our carnal mind, we try to rationalize everything and put it up against something that we have seen, heard, or experienced in our life, right? So when it doesn't fit in that box, so to speak, what do? We either just walk away and go, oh, that was just a weird bear, or we try to project and put other things onto it when we really don't want to face the truth and go, man, I just saw something that was really crazy and it just disappeared right in front of me, or whatever the case is, So I totally understand it, and I'm with. He brings up a good point, because what is probably natural to them, to us, we've never seen stuff like that. We don't know what that looks like, Yeah.
John has a great point. So John's saying, let me pull this one back up. When the European ships first anchored off the shores of the New World, the Native Americans could not see them because they couldn't understand what they were looking at, right? And so the waters were empty to them, but the shamans could actually see the ships. Okay, so shamans are actually tuned in, probably have their psychic abilities on point, right?
Yeah.
From whatever kind of meditations they do and that kind of stuff. That's why my team is trained in something we call remote viewing. And we have been training to enhance our psychic abilities for a long time. And it helps in the field of Bigfoot research, I believe. But that's a whole other rabbit hole if you guys want to go down there. Y'all just watch my shows. Y'all watch some of my former shows, okay? It's my previous shows, because I talk about it a lot. I think it really does help when you are on a frequency you're able to see these things. And Rod, I think that you're on a frequency, okay, to where, you know, some people say that whenever they have a cryptid sighting, they're marked, right?
Mhm.
And when you're marked, you start seeing, like, it's almost like these dogmen will follow you around for the rest of your life, or the Bigfoots will follow you around for the rest of your life.
Right.
Really, what I think, it's just you get on that frequency. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
You know, I think that's you could be right on that. You know, I think that, and I'm basing, and this is something I've not heard, right? I've heard this before from firsthand encounters, right? They'll encounter the creature, and then they'll go home, and they'll go, it followed me. I'm still having this activity on my property now, and I where I encountered this creature was, you know, 10 miles down the road, right, or whatever, right, a certain amount of distance, and this I brought this thing home, you know. So you know, there's definitely something going on with that, and you know, I think that that's definitely a possibility, you know, frequency wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, we do have a question. Do you think that there are, this is from Wayne in the chat. Uh, are there any portals in Bear County? Are you familiar with any kind of like portals? Because listen, you guys have a lot of cryptids out there in Texas,
Yeah.
and and I'm talking about from pterosaur sightings, modern day pterosaurs,
Yeah.
to goat men, okay,
Yeah.
to Bigfoot, to lake monsters, to whatever, man. Y'all got everything.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra, that's right. A lot of
Yeah.
dogman, though. A lot of dogman sightings out there.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't doubt it if there is. I have not experienced that myself. I know somebody that has. I know another researcher that has talked about that, some type of portal that a friend of his encountered, or what he thought might be a portal, went back and it was gone. You know, it was interesting. You know, so yeah, there could be, there very well could be, and I have not encountered it yet. It would be kind of cool to document something like that, though. It really would.
Yeah. Hey, my team documented one, but it's at an undisclosed location. It's not in Texas. I can say that. We don't
Yeah.
research in Texas, but man, I would love to research Texas sometimes because
Oh yeah.
there's so much going on there. And I mean, I've had guests on my shows who have talked about like border patrol agents um, watching as people like illegal border crossers are like crossing the border, and
Yeah.
they're watching them, and they get attacked and
Yeah.
torn to shreds by dogmen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so I know that's it's a little rough. It's a touchy subject there. Okay,
Yeah.
in a lot
It
of
is.
ways, but it could be a reality. I think it's just something. It's something that we should talk about a little bit
Yeah.
and put it
Absolutely.
out there, and but
Sure.
talk about it gently. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, for YouTube standards and things like that, you know. But I think that it's something that we need to watch out for, especially as researchers. Okay,
Yeah.
because we need to know the dangers of what we're dealing with out there.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, so I was, this is by chance. I documented a print that apparently that had lined up with an alleged dogman prints that had been found by other people that have encountered this creature, upright canine, walking on two legs, and can go quadruped and
Mhm.
biped, right? So the gentleman that referring to, that I I found this print and I sent it over to him. His name is Aaron Dees. He's with Small Town Monsters, and he also has another account called Hey Strangeness is on Instagram as well. And he wrote the book The Dogman Triangle: Werewolves in the Lone Star State, which is I think the first offering from Small Town Monsters Publishing. And he was gracious enough to put me in his book. I think I've got like 2 pages or something like that, which is amazing because I never thought I'd be in a book. But you know, so one of the
Especially
things
about
that,
dogmen, right?
yeah, well, because
And werewolves.
I wasn't really trying to that was like that was something that was further from my mind. Like I was thinking Dogman, I was thinking more Sasquatch than anything else. But how I found this, I have to really give credit to my youngest daughter. She was somebody that found a trackway. We just a little quick backstory here. We went to a park. It was a wilderness park that's lo and behold connected to that creek. And I said, okay, Rod, it's family time. Turn the Bigfoot thing off. Let's have fun. We're just there to just chill out. And of course, I can't do that because it's ingrained in me type of thing. And she ended up finding a trackway, and we followed it down into a holler. And man, and when we got into this holler, it was like so many wood structures, like 6 or 7 we had found right in, and they were within just feet of each other, just crazy. We were freaking out over this stuff, and it started getting dusky, dark, and she kept on telling me, she's like, let's go. I'm like, wait, hold on. Me myself, I'm trying to document things. I'm just like, oh, my mind is just going all over the place. Like, oh my gosh, look at all this. I'm just, and she's like, no, let's go. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I don't feel right. I feel like something is watching me. I feel like something is watching. We got it. And she was very scared. And I thought, okay, we got to go. I got to listen to my wife and my daughter. We got to get out of here. And it was very interesting. She did. So right before we took off, I just happened to look down. And when I looked down, there was this 3-toed print that was there. And it was big. It was a good size. And so I snapped a few photos of it real quick. One with my my boot next to it, which is a size 10, and then by itself. And it was the most peculiar thing I'd ever seen. Now, I didn't get a chance to go further and look even more because she wanted to leave. She was scared. So, obviously you have to protect your children, protect your family. I did that, so I snapped that picture. I sent it to Aaron, and Aaron was like, dude, this is crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe you found something. Like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. So he had conveyed to me that this is something that people had. It lines up with basically alleged prints that people have found with Dogman. So that's how I got into that to the book and ultimately into the documentary as well. Pretty
Wow.
Cool.
Okay, so 3-toed prints are so odd. All right, y'all. Rod, whenever we found 3-toed prints, and there are guys on my team. I've never found a 3-toed print before personally, but some of the guys on my teams have. And there's so many things that go through your head when you're looking at a 3-toed gigantic print like that. It's like, okay, what is this? A reptilian? What do we have? A Dogman? It's like we're not out there looking for lizard man or Dogman, but we're out there doing Bigfoot field research. But like you said earlier, we have to keep an open mind about everything because you just don't know what you're going to come across.
Yeah, exactly.
Dragonfly, thank you for that super sticker. And Kira, thank you for that super chat as well. I appreciate that. But yeah, okay, so the 3-toed print, how long of a track was that? Like, how long was the print? How many inches was it?
So I can't remember exactly because I didn't have like I didn't have anything with me. It was like family time, so
yeah.
I want to say it was probably about 6 inches long, kind of, and it was deep. The digits were deep. I've never seen a canine print that big at all, or anything in that area at all. Like it was very interesting. Now, the trackway we found was actually a linear trackway. And it was like of the Sasquatch variety type of trackway. And again, it was one of those things where I tried to shut everything off and I couldn't. And we started just walking and finding this stuff down in this holler because of that trackway. Now, at the end of it, that 3-toed print was not a part of what I believe to be some of the Sasquatch prints that we found in that linear fashion. So I wasn't able to go any further only because she was very adamant that there was something watching her, and it really freaked her out. So I had to leave quick. And right as I left, I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't believe it. Like I was right there, like right there. Like what are the odds? I have no idea, but I snapped those pictures and the rest is history, so they say.
Wow. Okay, so that's something that I'm very animate about that. About if you get a bad feeling, you go with your gut. Okay, if somebody's telling you to get out of there, get out of there. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't get caught slipping. Okay. Don't get caught
Yeah.
slipping.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just really, it's all about because she was picking up on some kind of frequency. Okay.
I think
Something.
so.
Potentially it could have been like infrasound, or it could have just been her gut, like that fight or flight.
Well,
And
she's a very sensitive kid, and she's very sensitive to people. And even if I'm having a bad day and I've not said anything about it, she'll know. She'll come up and hug me, and she knows. So absolutely, I agree with you on that.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I got a kid. He did the same for me today. He knows when I'm feeling down. He'll come give me a hug and a kiss. So it's a beautiful thing. It is.
Yeah.
Now Adolph is asking, how deep was the paw print, you think? Inches wise. Was it pretty deep? It just looked like it had some weight to it, right?
Well, it looked like it had some weight to it. I don't know exactly how deep the print was. I can tell you that it was substantially, it had some weight. It wasn't anything I can really cast because the dirt, if you know anything about my neck of the woods in San Antonio, we have a lot of hard ground. We have caliche rock underneath our soil, and it's very, very hard. So anything that makes a print, as far as, any indention, I don't care how deep it is. In our neck of the woods, you got to have some weight to make this happen. And by the way, when I found this, it hadn't rained the day before. There was no rain inside, so the ground wasn't soft. So something that made that print made it with some substantial weight. But I don't know exactly how deep it was. I did not have time to really pull out all my tools and things like that we usually do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I bet you got a few casted prints around your house somewhere when it comes to Bigfoot. Do you? I bet you do. Oh, you got one right there. Amazing.
Yep.
Check that out. Is that from Bexar County?
Yep. This is one of my areas. This is about a year old. I suspect this might be a female because right by it, around close to it, was a smaller, like juvenile looking
baby
type of print. So that's good. And I like to show those because our ground is, like I said, is very hard. Now, in contrast to that, you've got Michael Freeman, Paul Freeman's son, who has written the Freeman Files. And, that's Washington State. The soil is a lot softer. And this is one of the Freeman prints, right? So it's very different from what I find. And I like to show this because, in contrast, our ground is hard. This is different soil than what you find. So, this is something that I definitely like to show people because they go, well, why did you cast these prints? You don't understand. Oh, we live on a hard ground, and something that has weight that does something like this where I can cast it is very rare. Wow. Very rare. So, yeah.
Wow. Not a lot of mud and stuff, but you said that you do some of your research along a creek, and a lot of times we'll get prints around the creeks. Okay. And and that's a little bit softer than just the normal, walking on the side of a road or down a trail or something.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Rod, I have so much more I want to talk to you about, but we have come to the end of the hour. Can you believe this? Yeah. It went by so fast. Okay.
Quick.
Can you tell the audience about Bexar County Bigfoot and your research project and where people can find you and the books and all that information, please?
Absolutely. So I'm on Instagram as Bexar County Bigfoot, BEXAR, Bex. It sounds like Bex. It looks like Bexar County. Bexar County Bigfoot Instagram, Bexar County Bigfoot on TikTok, Bexar County Bigfoot on Facebook as well. I also have another page called South Texas Monster Hunters, and then there's another page called Bigfoot 101 as well. So you could find me there. But Bear County Bigfoot on all platforms as far as social media is concerned. TikTok, like I said, Facebook and Instagram. I'm on there. I'm not on X or anything like that. I just haven't really messed that. But also, too, if you get a chance, go out and purchase the Dogman Triangle. There's the Blu-ray right there. Here is the book by my friend Aaron Dees. And Small Town Monsters. Go find Small Town Monsters. Great people, love them. And then my friend Michael Freeman. I just talked about him. The Freeman Bigfoot Files. A lot of stuff that his dad has, taken, documented things like that. So go out and get it. So on Amazon and all that stuff. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You guys, I just watched the Dogman Triangle, Texas Dogman Triangle this weekend. It is so good. You guys definitely go see it. It's even got our buddy Tex in there. Tex from Texas Front Porch.
Right
He's on there. Okay, he's a friend of the show. I used to have a show over at Texas Front Porch. So he's in there too. And and Rod, I love your logo. I want to show the audience. You guys look for this. Bear County Bigfoot. What a great logo, man. I love it.
Yep,
with your wood logo. Knocker sticks and everything there.
There you go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that, man. So you guys go look for the logo and go follow Rod, you guys. And will you please come back and hang out with me again? And let's talk about some more Bigfoot Dogman stuff. Okay.
You got it. Whenever you're ready, just say when.
I'm gonna hold you to that. Okay. You come back and see me. Okay.
I will.
All right, Rod. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Right. See ya. Oh my God, y'all. What a great show tonight. Okay. I hope you guys learned as much as I did about Bear County Bigfoot and the Dogman Triangle over there in Texas. This is the first time we've talked about the Dogman Triangle on our show. So, wow. Okay, you guys, come see me this week. I'm going to be over at my channel, The Cryptid Huntress. Come hang out on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and Thursday at 8. I will be back here next Sunday. I'm going to be doing just one night a weekend from here on out. Sunday nights here at Spaced Out Radio, every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Y'all come hang out. I've got a great guest next weekend. I have Heidi Pop out of California coming to talk about her Sasquatch experiences. And it's going to be a great time. Okay. So you guys go hang out at After Hours, and I will see y'all this week. You guys have a great night. Lock your doors, and I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.